What's going on? What's up? Welcome back to NGB Talk. My name is Nicholas. Thanks for clicking on the video. Today's video is about how Nick Foles might just be making the Jacksonville Jaguars great again. I'll give you my opinion, my analysis, my thoughts. We'll do some digging into Nick Foles' history, his career, and who he is as a dude, as a player, as a dude. Today's video is actually going to be the first in a series that I'm doing on all sorts of AFC South related topics. So as a Titans fan, I definitely keep a close eye on what's going on in Jacksonville, in Houston, and in Indianapolis. So this is going to be the first video on all kinds of topics. If you are an AFC South, fan or football fan of any kind, let me know if you want to see any Deshaun Watson related topics or Indianapolis Colts, Andrew Luck related topics, anything of that nature I'm going to be covering because I'm a huge Titans fan. Obviously, you can see my content for the rest of my channel. You can go check out all the rest of my videos. Here's a card right here where you can see. I just made that noise because I did. You can see some other videos that I've created for the Titans. Obviously, I'm a huge Titans fan. Today's video is not about the Titans. It's about a dude that the Titans have to see 2 times next year, if not 3, in the playoffs. That's right, folks. It's going to be Nick Foles, who has just joined the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just joined is kind of a stretch. It's been kind of a thing since March. So Nick Foles is one of the newest, biggest focal points of the Jacksonville Jaguars' new 2019 team. So a couple things I want to say. Number one, as a Titans fan, I am not excited about this. If I was just an unbiased, I got a bug in here. If I was an unbiased fan, I would think, cool, Nick Foles, Super Bowl MVP, he's going to J-Town. That's great. Honestly, if I try to be subjective, I have to say that the Jaguars, I'm excited for your team. I'm excited for you booting out Blake Bortles and getting a real awesome quarterback. So I'll give you some of my thoughts on that. As a Titans fan, I'm definitely feeling like I'm happy for Nick. I'm happy for the Jags. But if you come to Tennessee and when we come to you, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the L for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sorry, that's the way it is. And you'd feel the same way about the Tennessee Titans. So it's all fair. It's all good. So first I want to talk about why I think Nick Foles will make Jacksonville great again. And it's got to start with number one, the fact that Nick Foles is a solid dude. Nick Foles, when asked, he says that his best season ever was when he was with the Rams. I think it was the St. Louis Rams at the time. It might have been the LA Rams. Someone comment below. Let me know. The Rams. By the way, speaking of comments, I love it when you guys comment. I love commenting back. If you say something like Titans suck, I'm gonna have to comment back and trash talk right back. So don't take it personally when I trash talk you. I don't when you try and trash talk me. But for the most part, I get awesome comments. People being like, "Bro, I love the channel. Bro, keep up the good work. I appreciate you guys." It's awesome to be able to talk with you guys about football, as I've said before in other videos. But Nick Foles played for the Rams. He was traded away from the Eagles. Even after Chip Kelly said 1,000 years he's going to be my quarterback. That's a laugh, Chip. And you're going to be the coach there for 1,000 years afterwards, right? Not so much. But he's traded away to the Rams. Nick Foles puts up a terrible season with the Rams. And the Rams were not such a good team. They went 7-9 that year. Nick Foles eventually gets benched and actually, unfortunately, has to restart after Case Keenum gets a concussion. So, sorry, Nick. But hold on. The point is, Nick is an awesome dude because when asked about his best season, you'd think he'd say, "Oh yeah, MVP, Super Bowl season. Yeah, that's the best. That's it. That's the pinnacle. That's the culmination. That's what it's all about." Nick actually says his best season was with the Rams. And because he faced so much adversity, so much challenge, and obviously if you look at the highlights, Nick did not play super great. And the team itself was not great. It was a Jeff Fisher led team and they played very poorly. The offense could not do things, could not generate yards. The receivers struggled big time, and Nick struggled as well. And the reason he's a solid dude is because he reflects on this time of challenge and adversity and says that's the best time because that's when I got to know who I am as a man, as a quarterback. At that moment, I began to realize what's most important in my life. And it's not football. It's, who I really am, my faith, what I believe in, stuff like that. And so Nick is a solid dude. He's going to go into Jacksonville, and he's going to embrace challenge when it comes. And you better believe in Jacksonville, it's probably going to happen. Jags fans can definitely relate. Titans fans can too. And so you have a solid dude, good head on his shoulders, and I think it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic change. I don't know much about Blake Bortles as a character, his character, and as a person. So I don't know that there's going to be a huge change in like leadership or whatever it might be. But I know that Blake Bortles being replaced is not going to be an issue because Nick's going to come in like a professional and like a solid dude. Number 2, he can play at a high level. We've obviously been able to see that. Nick has been able to play at a high level. And honestly, this isn't the I hate Blake Bortles video because I don't. I loved it when Blake started. I loved seeing him suit up, to face the Titans every single time. Sorry, Jags fans, I did. It was usually a poor performance. There was maybe one or two times that Blake really did well against the Titans, but most of the time it was pick city, not great stuff. I don't expect that from Nick this coming up season, which is why I'm a little bit concerned. So he can play at a high level. He can make the throws. He's definitely one of those. You could put him in this box being kind of a gunslinger type of quarterback, and so you could definitely see him lighting it up in a way that Jacksonville Jaguars fans are probably not used to whatsoever. Number 3 thing. Number 1, he's a solid dude. Number 2, he can play at a high level. Number 3, imagine going to Jacksonville. They've just had Blake Bortles as their starting quarterback for, I guess it was 5, maybe 6 years. This team is obviously, this franchise, this entire organization is obviously very good at being patient with the quarterback. After Blake did not look like the guy for year in and year out, and towards the end of the year, or 1 year, I think it might have been 2016, putting up some big numbers in trash time, garbage time, whatever they call it. And then taking them to the AFC Championship. And I promise, I remember watching a great deal of the playoff game. It was Buffalo Bills. It was a wild card game. Buffalo Bills versus Jacksonville Jaguars. It was the season that Blake took his team to the AFC Championship and lost to the Patriots. Blake looked like so terrible that game. Anyone could tell you. Anyone watching that game could tell you he looked awful. He was missing the easiest throw. The layups were challenging for him, and that's what he did sometimes. Sometimes he was awesome. Blake was just inconsistent. If we could say anything about Blake, why am I talking about this? Because the Jacksonville Jaguars, they know how to be patient. They know how to be patient with a quarterback. And if Nick comes in and throws some picks because he's a gunslinger kind of guy, I don't think the Jags are going to hit the panic button. I think they're going to say, you know what? We've been here before. We've done this before. This is nothing new, We can take this, Honestly, if you take a look at Nick Foles, his first year that he started for the Eagles, this was after his magical season where he had something like 26 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Everyone remembers the season. Everyone remembers the time that he threw 7 touchdowns in one game against the Oakland Raiders. And the season afterwards, Nick Foles is the guy starting. Chip Kelly says he's my quarterback for the next 1,000 years. He eats his words big time. before Nick gets a collarbone injury and before he's done for the season, he has a 6-2 record as the starter for the Eagles that season. It's Chip Kelly's second season, Nick Foles' first season as the guy. And that's important. I'm going to bring that up later as being the dude, the starter, the man for a team. He has a 6-2 record. But he has a ratio of 13 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. That's not what 26-2 looks like. That's way different. That's all like as the Eagles organization was probably taking that in. That's like, who is this guy? Absent from their mind apparently because they gave him the boot. They traded him to the Rams. Was the fact that he put together this 6-2 record as a starter. All they're focused on is 13 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. That's not what we signed up for. We're going to trade you. We're going to get you out of here. The Jacksonville Jaguars would love. I'm a Titans fan. I know this organization would love 13 touchdowns, 10 interceptions if it meant a 6-2 record. You know that. You know that. I know that. Everyone knows that. Comment below if you disagree with me. Come on. Tell me why they would not take 6-2. They would love it. But the Eagles did not. The Eagles were not a patient team with the quarterback. And so they gave him the boot, and they got Carson Wentz. And things ended up the way they did. Eventually, Nick came back anyway. So I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are definitely a patient team as far as the quarterback position is concerned. There's been some talk in the past about people maybe not liking how many passes they gave out to Blake. Like the defense will carry the weight. Blake just needs to hand the ball off to Leonard Fournette. I don't see as that being the go-to philosophy for the Jacksonville Jaguars organization. I don't see that really changing. I imagine they expect Nick to do better than Blake. Otherwise, they wouldn't have paid him all of that money. However, when the cards are down, I think that the philosophy of the Jacksonville Jaguars organization is going to be, we'll take the 6-2 record, which would project to be 12-4, and then maybe you got like a 13-3 record right there. That's not bad. That's pretty nice. So third reason, they're definitely a patient team when it comes to quarterback. They're not going to expect him to be amazing. They're going to expect the guy to start and take care of the ball and make a few good throws. Fourth reason, obviously, Jacksonville Jaguars has a solid D. Fantastic playmakers, fantastic personnel, talent. It's a fantastic D. And if you are a quarterback and you're looking for the next team to go to, talk about a team where you don't necessarily have to light it up in order to win. In order for the Atlanta Falcons, in order for the Green Bay Packers, in order for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, in order for them to win, the quarterback and the offense has to operate at a insane level because they're having to make up for all the yards the defense is giving up. Jacksonville Jaguars offense and quarterback, they don't have to worry about that. They can be like the 2000 Ravens and just worry about scoring their 14 points a game. So definitely a solid D that Nick's headed to. So those are all the reasons that Nick is going to be great. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome for Jags fans and terrible for Titans fans. I say terrible, there's definitely more reason to be concerned as a Titans or Colts or Texans fans now more than ever because not only is it a solid D, but you got Nick back there doing it too. So those are all the reasons that he'll do great. Here are the reasons that he'll struggle. And this is the reason that other people have probably commented on. But I'll reiterate here because I agree. Nick Foles, without the dudes around him, the right personnel around him, has struggled. I mentioned earlier the are they LA or St. Louis? The Rams, the Jeff Fisher-led Rams, the receiving talent was not there. You look back at the 2000, I think it's 13, I think it's 2000, either 13 or 14 season with the Eagles, and we have LaShawn McCoy, who's obviously the running back, but he's catching passes, and he can do that really well. We have Riley Cooper, who, when he was in his prime, he was doing really great stuff. Deshaun freaking Jackson, Brent Selleck, and Zach Ertz. All those dudes catching passes for Nick Foles this season that he went 26-2 touchdown to interception ratio and a freaking stellar quarterback rating of, I think, like 120, something stupid. I have it in my notes here. Quarterback rating of 119. And it was 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So all the times I said 26 and you were freaking out, it's really 27. Sorry, dude. And that was 2013 season, right? First season under Chip Kelly. He has all these pieces around him. He has this new system, this new quick tempo system, and defenses are struggling to keep up with it. And Nick does great. The offense is great. And unfortunately, Nick goes down with that collarbone injury. Hold on. No, they don't. He doesn't. No, that happens the next year. Unfortunately, they go to the playoffs and they lose to the Saints. Got it. So, moving on. Nick does great when he has pieces around him. Fast forward to the Rams. He's traded away from the Eagles, and he's got folks like Kenny Britt that are catching his passes, which that dude's been, great, terrible, inconsistent, right? You look at Nick Foles, MVP season with the Eagles, MVP Super Bowl season with the Eagles. He's got pieces to throw to. You look at Nick Foles playing for the Chiefs. I don't know if you knew this, but he was a backup to Alex Smith during the 2016 season, and he actually had a 105.9 passer rating, 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions as a backup for Alex Smith. Alex Smith had just a little bum ankle for about 2 weeks, and he had pieces around him, and he was able to play really well. Nick was able to play really well for the Chiefs. And so this dude is going to Jacksonville Jaguars, and who's he going to be throwing the ball to this season? Let's take a look. We got Deed Westbrook, a guy that's solid, definitely. Chris Conley, kind of a question mark. He was playing for the Chiefs, got injured, came over to the Jags in free agency. We have Keelan Cole, not necessarily a name that, is going to scare anybody. We got DJ Chark Jr., we got Marquise Lee, we got Jeff Swaim, and we got Josh Oliver. So this receiving core that Nick has around him, none of these are really going to be household names. None of these are going to be all-stars. We might have some solid dudes, but a lot of these, like several of these dudes are coming back from injuries. There's big question marks. We just don't know. And so because the receiving talent doesn't really look like it's there, it has the potential, sure, to be solid, but doesn't look like any of these guys are going to light you up. Any of these guys need to be double teamed necessarily, like every play. Nick may not be as good as he could be because obviously he's a gunslinger kind of quarterback. Obviously he just loves to let it fly, throw that ball downfield, and with these dudes, that's going to be kind of a gamble most of the time. Jags fans, if you are of the opinion that these dudes are that these guys are going to be like the next receiving core, let me know in the comment section. From what I'm seeing, just by the stats alone, it's nothing too crazy. Just this past season, I'm looking at, looks like 14 touchdowns combined for the entire receiving core here. Westbrook, Conley, Cole, Chark, and Lee. Jeff Swaim coming over from the Cowboys is going to be kind of that, that really good blocker that can also catch, kind of sneaky good tight end coming over from the Cowboys. Josh Oliver, drafted in this recent draft, 2019 draft from San Jose State. He's going to be kind of a big piece of homework for the Jaguars offense personnel and coaches, and definitely has a lot of physical tools. He was drafted, I think, in the 3rd round. Josh Oliver could be something to watch for sure. Definitely has the physical tools, but the tight end position for a John DeFilippo offense is going to be one that is going to require a ton of, a ton of knowledge, a ton of understanding of what you're doing, a lot of different things, different pieces that you're going to have to be in that offense. So Jeff Swaim, being the veteran, is probably going to be able to take over this tight end position with, a reasonable amount of ease. But Josh Oliver going from San Jose State to this, this John DeFilippo offense, it's going to be something to see whether or not Josh Oliver is going to do great. He could definitely become great. He definitely has the tools. And so we without the dudes, he definitely struggles. If you take a look at the tape from the Rams season, he struggles. This is the second reason, and this is a big one. Very, very big one. Because I believe Nick could definitely elevate the talent that is already here. Like, you look at these numbers for, Deed Westbrook, Keelan Cole, Marquise Lee. You look at these numbers. Marquise Lee was injured. And you have to take them with a grain of salt because Blake Bortles is throwing the pass. And probably Jaguars fans that are watching this are already thinking that. They're already, they've already written half their comment below. Don't look at those numbers because those are Blake Bortles numbers. I get that. Nick can definitely elevate what they do. However, this other thing is huge. The system that they're going to install in Jacksonville, with John DeFilippo coming over here, with him coming over here and installing his offense that, we saw with the Vikings, and it was pass happy, and he got fired because he didn't run the ball enough. And we're going to Jacksonville Jaguar town, where they just drafted a tackle in the draft, where they have a lot of stock in Leonard Fournette, where they really have obviously shown they want to be a more smash mouth, run first kind of team. I think it definitely, and drafting a tight end too in the draft, I think it definitely shows that the Jacksonville Jaguars are probably setting themselves up to be a run first team, play really great D, and keep the games close, run down the clock, a lot like the Tennessee Titans have been for a long time. I don't think that's going to be the best thing for Nick. And a friend of mine who has watched the Eagles for a long time, he's of the same mind. He told me that watching Nick play as an Eagles fan, his name's Adam, by the way. His Twitch account is linked in the description. Go check him out. He's an awesome dude. It's his birthday this week, so I wish him a happy birthday too. Adam, the Eagles fan, my friend, he tells me that when watching Nick Foles, he can definitely tell that he needs to get warmed up. That if he's not given the chance to really, get things going the first quarter, second quarter, and throw the ball down the field and get a feel for things, he really is going to struggle. And the thing about this system that the Jaguars are going to be deploying in 2019, I'm afraid that maybe they're going to be a little too much smash mouth, run first kind of team that Nick is not going to be able to really get his juice flowing each game. And that it's always going to be this downhill struggle of him trying to create chemistry and try to get things going, but really nothing taking. Nick's the kind of guy that needs to get going, that really doesn't need the ground game to, you run the ball to elevate the pass game, whatever. Complementary football is what they call it. Complementary football. Nick's not necessarily the kind of guy that needs that. I'm sure it'll help. A run game never hurts, but a system that is being deployed that takes away Nick's chance to get the juices going, that's going to be an issue. So definitely something to take a look at. And if you're a Jags fan and you have insight, and I've done a lot of research on this, I'm not speaking just from mere speculation. It seems like the Jags have been this way, and they intend to continue to be this way. If John DeFilippo was coaching in such a way that he was having Kirk Cousins throw the ball too much in Minnesota, he gets fired for it. It seems like the reaction to that is going to be let's run the ball more, let's have a more balanced situation. When you look at the reason they hired John DeFilippo in the first place, or why they put these two guys together in the first place, because they've had success together. John DeFilippo being the quarterbacks coach for the Eagles during the Nick Foles 2017, MVP Super Bowl year. So the wrong system thing, it could be taken both ways. Number one, if they try to run too much, it might stifle Nick. But also, it's good that they have DiFilippo in there helping him out. These guys have, they have chemistry. They have a relationship. Last thing, and I know people have definitely mentioned this, and it's definitely the ace. The ace in the hole, the one thing that everyone has to look at and agree on. When Nick Foles has been the starter for any team, it's not been amazing. It's not been fantastic. It's not been as good as when he is the backup. For whatever reason, the edge is completely taken off when you're the backup. You are not the dude. You are not the focal point of attention. You are the backup, and that guy's the backup, and that guy has all the responsibility, and you just have to be there when things go bad. You just have to be the one to make sure that when things go bad, they don't go super bad, right? Super bad. Excuse me. And so we look at Nick Foles coming in relief of Michael Vick in 2013, who gets injured. He has this amazing run of 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, a passer rating of 119. The next year, Nick Foles is the man. He's going to be the man for the next 1,000 years, apparently. And while he has a decent record for sure, one that the Jacksonville Jaguars would definitely stand to have, 6-2 record, his touchdown to interception ratio definitely the gap is closing. 13 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, a passer rating of 81.4. Then he gets traded away to the Rams, and he is the guy for the Rams. He has a 4-7 record as a starter. He throws 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, a passer rating of 69, and he's benched for Case Keenum, which is really interesting because Case Keenum and Nick Foles meet again in the NFC Championship game leading up to the Eagles' Super Bowl win. They were both playing together as the 1 and 2 guy for the Rams, and then a couple years later, after one of the dudes, Nick, contemplates retirement, ends up playing each other in an NFC Championship game. Great stuff. Next year, 2016, Andy Reid takes his guy back, says, "Hey, Nick, come back and be with me. Be the backup to Alex Smith." He plays in relief of Alex Smith, as I already mentioned, has 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a passer rating of 105.9. There he's the backup again. The pressure's off, and he just plays well. In 2017, we all know this story. He's a Super Bowl MVP, but he's the backup to Carson Wentz. In 2018, same story, and you know what? He plays pretty darn well. At the beginning of the season, not so much because Carson was still like rehabbing, and the pressure seemed like it was really on him. But later in the season, having the pulling the victory out of your butt victory in Chicago, or was it versus Chicago, whatever. And now he's the man. So that takes us back to net right now. So now he is the dude. Can Nick Foles be victorious? Can he be a solid starter if he is the dude? He has, if you look at it, he's never been solid as the guy. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe it's not. Food for thought for sure. Also, one thing to mention before I kind of wrap this up, Nick Foles has worn a lot of different numbers. If you're still in the video, why don't you comment below and let me know, what is your favorite quarterback number? Like, now that I'm asking the question, I have to think about it. I'll let you know in a second. Nick Foles has been number 7 when he was in high school. Westlake High School, same school that Drew Brees went to, by the way. He has been number 8 and number 17 in college. He played for Michigan State, and then he played for Arizona. So he couldn't have number 7 because he wanted number 7 at Michigan State. But Brian Hoyer was there, and he had already, called dibs. And then that might have been the same thing in Arizona, but I can't remember who took number 7. So he's number 8. So that's a couple different numbers. Then he's drafted by the Eagles, and the Eagles, of course, have Michael Vick as number 7. So he's definitely not taking that. So he takes number 9. And then he's traded away to the Rams. And now I'm trying to remember who had number 7 at the Rams that impeded. The jersey number had been retired. I think it had been retired for the Rams. So he couldn't, there wasn't a dude on the team stopping him. There wasn't a Michael Vick there. It was the jersey number got retired. So he couldn't be number 7. So you know what number he was for the Rams? Number 5. And then he goes over to the Chiefs, and I think someone else is number 7 over there too. Or the jersey number got retired. And he's number 4. Why is he number 4? I read an article about this. I'll try to link it below. Someone might have to comment below and remind me. Someone did that in my last video. Thanks. He wore number 4 because I think that was his wife's favorite number. That's sweet, Nick. You're a good guy. And then he goes back to the Eagles. He has a chance to wear number 7 because no one else is wearing number 7 when he goes back to the Eagles, but he decides to stick with number 9, I guess, because that's the number he was drafted with for them, so he just stuck with it. And so obviously now he's with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Nick Foles is number 7 for the Jags. And so he's, kind of going back to the number that he's always wanted to play with. And that's number 7. And he's doing it for the Jags. And my final thoughts on this, are there reasons that he'll do great? Yes. Are there reasons he'll struggle? For sure. I think that the Jags definitely improve. I think they definitely do better than 5-11. I think that's what their record was 2018. I think that he's a humongous upgrade over Blake Bortles. I think this team is, definitely has like a floor of 8, has a ceiling of 9 or 10. I think they can definitely pull it off. I think there's probably going to be some growing pains as Nick figures out, what this system is and how he's gonna compete in it and what this system's gonna be for him. I think for the reasons I stated earlier, he might struggle. But for the reasons I stated earlier, he might do great. I think Nick's going to be a huge improvement over Blake Bortles. I feel like that's a safe thing to say. I think Nick's going to do really great in Jacksonville. And as a Titans fan, I'm genuinely concerned about any time I have to see the new number 7 in J-Town playing the Titans. Do I think the Titans have an edge? Of course I do. Obviously, they got the Jags number. If you're still in this video watching, you're probably a Titans fan. Anyway, but if you're not, if you're a Jags fan, comment below. Let me know what you think about Nick as your brand new starter. And let me know what you think about my analysis, my thoughts on Nick Foles. I appreciate you being here, watching the video. There's a bunch of other videos. They'll pop up in the end screen right here. If you made it this far in the video, that's awesome. Why don't you subscribe? Because that's the way, subscribe or like the video. That's the way I know that, this content's good. And I really appreciate everyone that has subscribed so far. You guys are awesome. I obviously say that every video, but every video I mean it. And let me know what the next kind of AFC South breakdown video needs to be. Obviously, Nick is the one I'm, for Jags fans, I'm excited. But obviously, I'm excited about that. But I want to talk about other things, AFC South related. Of course, I'm still doing Titans content. Don't worry about that, Titans fans. Anyway, thanks for watching. You guys are awesome. Have a good night. Thanks. Bye.